Hi, I'm Linda Kenny. Welcome to KidsAbility. I have the privilege of serving as the Chief Executive Officer of this great organization. And today I actually have the pleasure of welcoming Chair Karen Redman to our facility. She is Chair of the Region of Waterloo, but she is certainly no stranger to KidsAbility, are you, Karen?
I'm not at all, Linda. It's so nice to be here and celebrate the wonder of this place.
Well, it's a really great, rich history, and your personal history connects in so many ways with KidsAbility. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how all of the facets of your life seem to line up in this building.
I'm so happy to. This is a fabulous facility, and I don't doubt people drive past here every day and don't realize the amazing work that's happening. But as a past president of Kitchener Rotary Club, I know the long and proud history and the relationship that Rotary has with KidsAbility. And it all started back years ago, before 1957, because that's when the first KidsAbility Center was established in Kitchener.
Yeah.
And I have Rotarian colleagues right now that started out driving kids to Toronto, to London, to Hamilton. And as much as they felt that that was a really worthwhile service for the community, they asked each other, couldn't we do something where we could bring these services local? And that was really the birth and the genesis of KidsAbility.
And it's really been amazing to think about what's been accomplished in 62 years it is now. So when we look back to that very first year, we saw 161 children in a very small facility. And we fast forward, and now we are in this amazing facility. We've got sites throughout Waterloo Region and Guelph Wellington, and we are serving about 8,000 kids a year. And from that first vision that a small group of Rotarians had to what has become, I would say, this amazing place that supports kids and families across our catchment area.
Well, and I have to tell you that as regional chair, I am so proud that not only do we serve Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, but we also, KidsAbility reaches into Guelph Wellington.
It does, yeah.
And Rotarians believe in service above self, and they believe that they do good work and they raise money and they want to invest it back in the community. Rotary is a global organization, so we certainly worry about things in other corners of the world, and getting rid of polio is one of our main projects. But to be able to invest in something like KidsAbility, where we provide services to people where they live in our community, and you know, if you asked 100 people how many people have been impacted either personally by members of their family or their friends, I would bet you over 80% of people would put their hand up.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I see that all the time, and I think the thing that is so amazing to me about the partnership between Rotary and KidsAbility is that shared commitment to making sure that kids and families have what they need. So Rotary, for 62 plus years, longer if you go back to those early days of driving, has been really committed to kids and families in our community. And I can't imagine where we would be today as an organization if it wasn't for that ongoing partnership we have with Rotary.
And I think that is one of the defining things that we feel has really given us a window into our community. We do lots of good work. There are 8 Rotary clubs in Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, and I know there are Rotary clubs in Guelph too, and to be able to invest back into the community in such a meaningful way is very significant. And it's interesting because, as I said, Rotary touches so many families. One of our grandsons came to Rotary for about 6 months when he was 4 or 5 to have help with speech therapy, and that's all he needed. But Rotary helped KidsAbility be here for him when he needed it.
Yeah, and it's not just money. I mean, we are so fortunate to have the support of Rotarians when it comes to volunteering, when it comes to events that we're doing in the community, comes to raising awareness. And as you say, you know, if you put 100 people in a room, there would be 80 of them would probably have some sort of connection to us. And you know, we have staff who work here whose family members are Rotarians. My own husband is a Rotarian. So there are lots of intersections and connections between KidsAbility and Rotary for sure.
And I just really need to underscore people having services that significantly change their lives. You know, we had 4 kids, right? You have a young family, you're busy. To be able to get these services in the community you live, where you're going down the street or at most across town, but you're not driving to another city, is just so much more doable, and it is such a quality of life difference. And the service that KidsAbility provide is just such high quality.
First time somebody walks into this building through our doors, they don't know why really they're here. They just know something's not quite right. And so we really want to create this welcoming environment and to kind of bring people in and say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be just fine. And once our staff have the opportunity to start to work with a child, it is amazing the potential that they can pull out of children. And you know, we like to think of it, and we've heard it described by families as a beacon of hope, because they come here, they're confused, they're worried, they're not sure why they're here or what's wrong, and then they walk out of here, I think, with a whole new optimism for their future as a family.
And you know, that whole piece about diagnosis, I think, is so critical. And I don't know that everybody hearing this knows that you operate a school. And I remember years ago when I was a public school trustee, one of the trustees had a wife who was a trustee on your school board. And so there's such a vast array of supports that you give people, whether they need the diagnosis, they need a few months' help, or they spend most of their educational career here. You create a place not only for the kids, but for the families. And I think that's just so key.
Yeah, I think you've raised a really good point, because you don't actually need a formal diagnosis to get services from KidsAbility, and you don't need a medical referral. You can, parents will refer, and quite often do. And so when we bring a child into service here, we actually believe that we're serving the whole family. And so, you know, it may very well be that the time between referral and when the active service actually starts, which is what we unfortunately have to call our waiting list. But at the same time, we want to bring families in. We want them to start to feel connected with us right from the very beginning. And so we will connect them up with our resource center. We'll connect them up with family education groups. You know, we think the service starts from the day and moment that that first call is made. And as you say, some children are with us for a very short amount of time, and some children are with us using multiple services for, you know, their whole entire childhood.
And I would also say that I'm a great believer in continuous improvement, and KidsAbility has never rested on its laurels. And I think of your slogan, Kids Can't Wait, and how important that is, because we have to continue to improve, and governments change, funding changes. Rotary will always be here because KidsAbility, I think, defines sort of what we see as our role in the community. But clearly we have to respond to changing needs in the context within which you deliver these services.
And you make a good point, Karen, because we've talked a lot in this conversation sort of about our past. But you know, when I think about the relationship that KidsAbility and Rotary share and what the future might bring, like, I can only imagine where we'll go from here.
Well, and I have to say too, I mean, we're seen as such a high-tech community, and I have been blown away at some of the tours that we've taken and some of the high-tech, I guess they're learning devices as well as apparatus that people can use with special needs. And that's really exciting, and that is very futuristic too.
Absolutely. So Karen, thank you so much for taking time to come and visit us again. We always love having you here.
It is a pleasure.
And it's been great to sort of walk down memory lane a little bit and think about that relationship between community and KidsAbility and Rotary. So thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
As we talked about, you know, there are some children that KidsAbility will support from the time they are very young, very small children, all the way through their childhood journey. And it is actually my pleasure to introduce you today to Graydon, who came to us very young with a great deal of need. And when you get to meet Graydon, you will not recognize the young man that he has become. So let's go talk to Graydon.
We arrived at KidsAbility when Graydon was 18 months old. He is our third son, and I was noticing that he wasn't meeting his milestones. He was able to get into therapy right away. He was not able to really sit up at the time, was not walking. He wasn't speaking, and so he needed all of the therapies that were available here, and started with physio right away, and then moved on to occupational therapy as well. And a little bit later, he started doing speech therapy. I had no idea what I was doing, even though he was my third child. This was a whole new world for me. And KidsAbility was able to put us on a path and just help us along with his needs and to understand his needs. And all the therapies that he did Basically, for the first 4 years of his life, I was able to also bring that home, and they explained to me what we could do for him at home to continue the daily therapies. And for him, it was really kind of life-changing. And we saw results fairly quickly. It kind of became sort of a second home for us. We really do consider Graydon a success story. And now that he's 18, he has a work placement in high school. And he's kind of come full circle because now he is helping out in the classrooms back here at KidsAbility, in the classrooms that he was in when he was 4 years old.
Because I want to give back to people, and I really love doing it, and
You like working with the kids?
I do a lot. Yeah.
I find he has a great connection with these kids, probably because he understands them. Do you find that they seem to have a nice connection with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Deirdre and Graydon, for sharing your journey with us. We have been so honored to have played a part in not only your journey, but your growing up into this fine young man that you're becoming. We're very excited about what the future holds for you.
Better futures happen here.
And just imagine what that's going to look like.